Hi, I'm Sister Simone Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of Network Lobby for Catholic Social Justice, and I have the honor of being the leader of Nuns on the Bus. And today, our virtual bus is here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we're going to be visiting with the Black Leaders Organizing for Communities. That means BLOC. And they are organizing, and we're going to hear their story and hear what policies they're working on. So let's have our guests join me here in the studio. Come on in, y'all.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. So glad you're here. So maybe we could just start with each of you introducing yourself to our audience, and then we'll begin the conversation. So Rick, do you want to introduce yourself and what your role at BLOC is?
Sure. My name is Rick Banks. I am the political director / organizer for BLOC, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities.
Great. And Derek, what introduce yourself, please.
How y'all doing? My name is Derek, and I'm digital organizer for BLOC.
So you do all the digital organizing? So you're in?
Yeah, I'll push the content. It's fun too.
Great. And Solana, could you introduce yourself to us, please?
My name is Solana Patterson-Ramos. I'm a Milwaukee Outreach Director for BLOC Power, which is a organization that's partnered with BLOC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and quick clarification, like they're both BLOC, but ours is BLOC without a K and hers is BLOC with a K. So we're just like...
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
it's two different organizations, but we're partnered to do outreach to the Black community when it comes to voting.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you for the clarification. We'll make sure that we get it all out there. Thank you. And Tamer?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamer. I'm a lead organizer at BLOC, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities.
Great. And Kiva, right? Did I say it correctly?
Yes, you said it exactly right. Hi, I'm Kiva Guyton. I am for BLOC, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities, and I am the community organizer here at BLOC.
All right. Oh, great. Okay, this is going to be a great conversation. So, Rick, can you talk to us a bit, or any of you actually, but I was thinking starting with you, Rick, about your, there's so many different organizing styles and organizing processes. Can you talk a bit about what your focus is and how you've been engaged in the community recently?
Yeah, so I think it's good to start with like the history of how BLOC got started. And so BLOC was started in 2017 after the 2016 election, where a lot of folks looked at the turnout in Milwaukee and across the state and really across the country, particularly looked at Black turnout in these places and saw that, comparing 2012 to 2016, there was a noticeable drop in turnout. In Wisconsin, I think Donald Trump won by a little bit more than 22,000 votes. And the drop from the Milwaukee Black turnout alone was more than that number. So if turnout, had to stay the same, things might have been different. And so people were really asking why weren't folks voting, and trying to come up with different ways to not only, identify what was the cause of this, but how do we fix it? And so BLOC came about from that because organizers, as elected officials came together and said that, from their perspective, Black people didn't vote in 2016 because the Democratic Party didn't necessarily give them a reason to, or both, I guess. Then let's not keep it nonpartisan.
I feel your pain. Okay.
The political establishments, weren't really working to come into the neighborhoods and talk to people outside of an election time. Folks fly in and say, hey, we want, you should vote for us for this, this, and this. And then after that, folks don't hear from them again, and that this don't happen. And so BLOC was starting to really do some deep, authentic engagement in the Black community, and to make sure that Black issues were being heard and that we were organizing ourselves and not waiting for outside forces to come in and try to fix these issues, and that we're electing leaders who will enact policies that are in the best interest of our communities and that reflect the values that we have. And so since launching, we started off with 4 organizers and a program director and an executive director, so a staff of 6. We now have a staff of about 11 or so, something like that. But then that's not the beginning. That's our full-time staff. Our ambassadors, who are the folks who are really like our on-the-ground, door-to-door folks. So we call our canvassers ambassadors, because it's really more than canvassing. It's, relationship building. It's going out and spreading the word about elections and things like that. And so we have 73 of those now. For the duration of this election cycle. Yeah, so the team has grown exponentially, and we've been impactful in several different election cycles since 2018, local elections like the state Supreme Court races, state representative races, the district attorney. And so we're really doing a lot of educating in the community around, what are these offices? Why are they important? Why should people want to just vote for not just the president, but everything else on the ballot as well? We're also doing a lot of work around different issues. And so one of the main issues that we've been working on is around our city budget. And so we've been involved with a lot of different coalitions of different organizations who are really wanting to look at where is the city spending our money. And we saw that almost half of our money goes to the Milwaukee Police Department. We didn't think that was an equitable allocation of resources. So we've been fighting to get resources allocated towards things like non-police violence prevention, things like affordable housing, and youth jobs and youth programming. In addition to, some other issues, Kiva can talk about some of our work in coalitions on lead, other criminal justice things. Just overall trying to support families during COVID. That's the gist of it. I mean, there's so much to this. I'll let other folks add some stuff as well. But that's the general history and kind of like where we are and kind of the bread and butter of what we do. We're about building Black power, one door at a time by educating the community and developing leaders.
Fantastic. Oh, that's exciting. So, Tamer, I know that you're one of the ambassadors. So that means you're doing that. I don't know. Are you doing door-to-door work now, or how is this working in COVID for you?
Well, at a point in time, we were doing door-to-door. Now we're doing things like phone banking and texting. We're still reaching out and just being sure to remind everyone about everything that's going on as far as the elections, and doing, I would say, I can't find the word for it, but we reach out and see if they need any resources or anything of that nature. We try to keep a one-on-one and build a bond with our people. A lot of times it's hard. A lot of people don't really have the faith and the hope, but that's where we come in, and that's what the one-on-ones are for. We give them that hope. We help them build that power and build their voice to speak out and even help us reach out to others. So it's very tough. It's hard. It's really hard because of everything that we went through in our history and just being people of color overall. But we try to make the best of it, and we still get out here no matter what. Rain, sleet, or snow, we're out here. We're going to make sure our people have a voice. We're going to make sure they have that power, and we're going to make sure they are heard.
Oh, I'm so grateful. That's really good. Kiva, what are you finding in your organizing work?
I had to find the unmute button.
I know, it's always a question. Where is it?
So the work is not easy work. I must agree with Tamer on that as well. But I guess you got to be built for tough in order to go ahead and keep it going. What I found, because we all transitioned, and we are all predominantly virtually working from home. I guess BLOC is just a get it right, get it done kind of organization, because we kind of snapped right into place and got things right on the roll. So with Dick's political work and with Digital D back there in the background, and just us as a team together, we have been able to reach a couple of landings and cross some T's and dot some I's. With that being said, we are reaching record numbers of phone banking. We are reaching number records in texting. We are also finding different ways. I'm personally finding different ways as far as virtually inserting myself in different meetings, different coalitions, and just working with people and getting the message out there and allowing folks to know that BLOC is still for help and for support, even though that we can't come out and personally meet with folks one-on-one. But
Right.
I have been able, because I don't have any underlying health issues. So I have still been able to get out and set up different tables and make sure that folks are getting information on the census. Folks are getting free masks. That is something that I ended up coming up with on my own, as far as inserting myself in different meetings, staying present with what's going on with COVID, keeping folks updated with COVID. As Rick stated earlier, we don't only just do things surrounded around election. We want to make sure that we are in the interest of our Black and brown people and our neighborhoods thriving and meeting folks where they're at. You know, some folks don't have like outlets. Some folks don't know about resources. So we just want to be the go-to. And currently I'm the go-to girl when folks don't have, don't know which direction to turn. So currently I personally have given out over 4,000 masks since May 22nd of this year. We're also, I've made these one little packets for early voters, so you kind of, everybody like free stuff. So
I know, I hear you. I like free stuff too. I hear you.
So, kind of give them a boost a little bit. So I've got these little baggies, gift baggies. So if you've early voted or you know someone that's early voted, it's kind of got some hand sanitizer in there. We've got a I voted early button in there. Then I've got a I voted early mask. And then just recently we got several masks from CPD. I believe that's where we got them for, that says vote. So you're getting an extra mask that say vote in there, so folks are loving it. And of course, you got to put a little literature for those that don't know about BLOC in there, so
marketing is all. That's
really
fabulous.
just wanting to make sure that we are still reaching our folks in the community and in our neighborhoods, and that they don't feel as if we've left them or abandoned them in a time of need, because we are in a crisis.
Wow, that's fabulous. I love your creativity. That's super. And Derek, I'm gathering from what Kiva says that you've got a whole digital social media piece that you do. Could you talk to us about your part in the organizing?
Oh yeah. It's the visual. A lot of people. You can talk to folk, or you can try to text people and everything. A lot of people is visual, and by nature, humans, we nosy people. We are nosy creatures, like, for real. So it's like, if I see it, I want to see more. You know what I mean? If it come across visually, then I may pay attention to it more than somebody trying to tell it to me. So basically, just getting out information and like everything that was just saying, the resources, where to vote, how to vote, things just such reminders. It's about mobilizing people, and this is just another way to engage with the folks. With it being a social media world now, it's a real good way to engage with the people, and it's kind of fun, it's fun getting the word out to the folks.
So do you do it with like digital ads or social Facebook posts, Instagram, that kind of thing, or what platforms are you using? I see heads nodding, so obviously I got some.
All that. All that. We're doing Twitter, of course, Instagram, Facebook. We're using campaigns. We're running campaigns as well. Radio, basically all media, any media that we can touch across the board, we utilizing every platform that we can, to get the word out. You know what I mean? Even with radio ads as well. So I'm utilizing them all. They say you're supposed to use the resources, so yeah, we're using resources. You know.
All right. Oh, that's exciting. I'm
I
glad to
use
hear that.
as well, Senior Simone. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's what. No, go for it. What were you saying?
I push out predominantly a lot of my work on Facebook. I guess you can say I was told the other day that I have a fan club. So I am working on building my fan club and my fan base for more followers. And to also, we've got this program. It's a BLOC membership program. So we are building on that as well. And there are several different other programs that we are rocking out and we are getting on board now.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really great.
Word of mouth is everything.
That's who's most believed. It's way better than any of these big ads. You're absolutely right. Okay, so Solana, how are you? Talk to us about your collaboration then with BLOC from your voting aspect here.
So I work for an organization called BLOC Power, which is a project that basically uses relational organizing and digital organizing in a way. So if people know about like vote tripling, it basically compensates people to talk to their friends and family about voting and compensates them for their time, but it's not like they're hired and they don't have to be like, or they're hired, but they're not like have to be there for like 8 hours a day. So they can be on their own. It's kind of more like a gig type of thing, right, where you can have it as your own time for a day and a couple hours a day and, keep it moving. And so, but then that way you're talking to just your friends and family, trying to encourage them to vote. And so you're doing the work that a lot of times people be doing and might not have the time to, because they are working a couple of jobs, because they are, have other things going on. But, with this program, they can do both. They can, take care of business and help their family out and also, do vote work without compensating, other jobs that they might have.
Wow. So how many folks?
So basically I'm helping in Milwaukee.
How many folks do you have doing this? This is really impressive.
Currently it's about 35 active. I think we have like 50 something signed up that are kind of active. And then we also have 100 and something people right now that we're trying to onboard. It's probably like 50 more people that are currently getting onboarded.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we know that the most powerful advocates for any point of view is somebody somebody you're already connected with. So that's really a powerful message. And are you looking at electoral, at candidates, or are you looking at issues, or a bit of both?
Completely nonpartisan and not really talking about candidates, more so about training people to talk to their friends and family about the voting. And so we might, onboard somebody, talk to them for a bit just to make sure they kind of understand, because some people probably never voted. And so what tools do they need to like kind of help them have that conversation with their friends and family? So when they do get onboarded, we try to send them like links to the website, which is myvote.wi.gov. We try to make sure that very communicative with them. Like, if they have any questions, we can talk to them, send them more information or whatever. But it's very like independent project where they sign up, they go through the process, and they just have those conversations with their friends and family, and they just have to report on it. So it's just a very like self-guided project, but we just help them along and make sure they have all the right information.
Right. Well, I'm curious for all four of you obviously we're in the midst of an election cycle, and we're on our virtual bus tour to say who we elect matters. And it also goes for issues too. And I'm curious, among the four of you, what are the issues that are of concern to the people in your area? What do you think is at the heart of their concerns? Oh, just anybody.
So, speaking from more of a data analytical point of view, so when BLOC launched, we launched it wasn't an election time, it was out in the community knocking. And so what we asked people was, what does it look like for the Black community to thrive? And so from that, we got a lot of different responses around a lot of the issues that people were facing in their communities, in their neighborhoods, and in their daily lives. And without a doubt, the number one response or issue that we get is safety. And that people want to be safe in their communities and in their neighborhoods and as they go about. And that's from a number of different things. I want to be safe, like as I'm driving and I have to worry about somebody hitting my car. So I want to be safe walking down the street and I have to worry about being assaulted or something like that. And so that's one of the things. And we've taken that issue to heart and really tried to look at how can we work with our city council and our alders and folks to talk about what are alternative ways that we can increase safety in neighborhoods, because we know that we can't put a police car on every corner to make everybody feel better, and because it just wouldn't work, it wouldn't be financially sustainable. So we're looking at other ways. Other issues that I have heard about are constantly our housing issues. People to have the boarded up houses that are on their block to be either torn down or fixed, or they are worried about their rent increasing, or they want to move into home ownership, but they just can't for whatever financial or other reason that's blocking them. So those are the two main issues that I've heard about and I've worked on personally. But I do know other folks have other issues that they can talk about more, but also that we, as a part of this process, we talk to, tens of thousands of people over the course of the last 2-3 years or so. And from all of that, we kind of took all that information, put it together to create what we call the BLOC agenda, which is our policy manifesto. And so basically we looked at pretty much any issue that people brought up and aggregated it into kind of 10 categories of safety, housing, education, employment, and other categories. And then we came up with a policy manifesto of things that people in the community wanted to see happen, and the solutions that would be most effective. And so we approved that. And so now that's what I'm using as I move forward in my lobbying work and working with elected officials and candidates. We judge candidates based on this platform, how in line with you are with this platform that we created. When we judge elected officials, how are you progressing the things that we put forward in this platform? But I'll let other folks talk about other issues.
Okay, and so here we have where your agenda is. I'm really excited to look at it. Thank you so much. So Kiva, do you want to talk about what you're encountering, the concerns of the folks that you know in your community, and then Tamara will give you a chance to do likewise?
Well, a lot of folks are unstable mentally these days. Those are some things that are circulating, that's been circulating. Just what things can we do, within the household as far as family, and to try to keep things, a bit tight, run the ship a bit tighter. There's children are home all day, parents are working all day. So, things are, a little uneasy. So folks are trying to find ways to just to kind of get things, at a stable point to where things can be calm and, a bit more relaxed setting. But I think, and I believe in what I've been telling folks, I've got a program also that I host. Well, I won't say a program, but maybe it's a program. But
we'll call it a program. We'll call it a
program because we do have folks tuning in every Wednesday. It's a model that we have over at BLOC. It's called Wellness Wednesday. So we kind of do a little aromatherapy thing. I kind of got some stuff sitting here to where we have essential oils, we have candles, whatever it is that you can, kind of set the mood to where you're at, to kind of take like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes it goes over a little longer because folks are enjoying these loving moments. Folks don't love on their self much these days. So folks are literally enjoying the time, to where you want to just mentally wind down, just give yourself a woo-sigh and come into the moment and just enjoy yourself. And we play calming, relaxing music, things of that nature. Also, I think it's things are going to be getting better around the mental health issues and things like that because it's getting cold. So a lot of folks tend to stay in the house now that it's cold. So this could be a time to where, this is the cuddle weather. This is the movie weather. This is the baking weather. So we're just trying to find ways, to keep folks, a little level headed.
Amen. Amen.
But Rick hit it on the nose. I'm so with everything what Rick is saying.
Got it. Okay. Tamer, what would you say? I saw a lot of head nodding when they were.
Yes, I do agree with what Kiva said. A big thing that we're running into a lot when reaching out to our residents and our community is mental health. Because of this pandemic, a lot of people are out of a job. The kids are not in school, so now they have to manage either working from home and schooling their children at the same time, or trying to find another job while schooling their children from home and trying to do what's necessary to be sure that their household is taken care of. So mental health is a big thing right now that we're getting a lot of feedback on, as well as just connecting everyone to their elected officials out in the community. A lot of people are not even aware that they have an alderman in their neighborhood. So that's one thing that we're really trying to be firm on and help guide people down the right path and best assist them as we could with those type of concerns. Another one is I wouldn't necessarily say the election, but the people who are partaking in the election is another concern that we're having.
I hear you. I hear you on that one.
Yeah, it's a big concern to everybody, but again, as I said before, we just do what we can to best assist them and put them on the right path to answer and assist their needs. But mental health is a strong thing. That's my main focus when I'm reaching out to my residents, I would say.
Good. Derek, in your work on the digital world, what do you think is most attractive or most picked up in terms of your messaging in the digital world?
Just being straightforward, where it's not like, instead of personally, my views personally is like, if you're raw with the messaging, I think, people accept it, especially the type of people that you're trying to reach. You know what I mean? So if I'm trying to, like, example, if I'm trying to reach Tamer, right? We're from the same walk of life or whatnot. You know what I mean? I wouldn't try to reach her in a language where I don't think she'll get it, understand it or get it. You know what I mean? I will reach her as if I'm talking to her face to face. You know what I mean? But still got to keep in mind, you know what I mean, to protect the brand and make sure, it's in a professional way as well. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people can take rawness and they can mix it up and get it confused, you know what I mean, as far as what the message is, you know what I mean? So it's like, gotta understand both of them things,
And we have some politicians that can be pretty raw and not appropriate in my book. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Rick,
I'm gonna ask if Eva could talk about her the work you do with coal and around lead and things.
Oh, yeah. What's this?
COLE is the Coalition on Lead Emergencies here in Milwaukee. Is a group of folks from different organizations throughout Milwaukee. What we are doing, we are trying to make sure that we get mothers and children tested and lower the lead levels here in Milwaukee. We have lead-based laterals, so we are working on trying to get those fixed as well. But we are currently focused on one area, which is in the Amani area, where a lot of children have been affected, and learning disabilities has been developed due to the lead, which is not only in the water, but it's also in the paint in these houses. And there isn't any laws that protect the tenants from the landlords not doing anything to fix these problems. We also were just in the mayor's city budget meeting a couple of weeks ago, where we did have mothers with children. So we had actual folks who have been affected by these lead laterals and these houses with lead-based paints in the inside and the outside of houses, because it's on the porches as well. And in a lot of areas, children don't always get to come off of the porch to play because of some of the issues that we are currently facing here. Folks are even driving, really wild on the streets. So, we have to, some folks, I don't have any small children myself currently, but kids have to stay on porches. Children have to stay and play on back porches, and just if you're in a room. But we are currently asking for a 1.6 million cut in the police funding as well. But I think we are going to go and up that in the next meeting to 3.5 million. So that is what we're doing. And we just they actually asked me to become chairperson for Cole, but I am not currently, so I respectfully declined from becoming the chairperson there. But we are working. We are meeting some goals, and things are moving forward. And I believe and know that the folks' voices were heard at this budget proposal.
Yeah,
Well,
I believe it's
go ahead.
3.5 million to replace the laterals, right? Or
Yes.
yeah, okay.
I didn't catch
lead laterals, like the lead pipes in the ground.
Oh, for the water to come through, because there's a lot of houses here in Milwaukee where we're redlined at. The water.
Oh, you muted yourself. Kiva, you got muted somehow.
Right, I said, "Oh Jesus, if I could move some things out the way." I'm kind of talking with my hands and kind of move, kind of thing. But we're working pretty hard, and things are advancing and moving forward. I've also when I came in, it was really weird, but the pastors, they're past pastors at a church that I used to go to. So it's like things are aligning up with my life. I used to go to Hepatha Lutheran Church.
Oh, yeah.
So Pastor Dennis Jacobs, he was once a pastor, and I think it's Sister Catherine, that's the current pastor. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. I was going to say, is this lead issue is a national issue as well as a local issue? Because we did one of these virtual stops up in Flint, Michigan, and heard that it wasn't just the lead pipes in the street that needed to be replaced. This one woman was telling how she bought a house, and after she bought the house, it was an old house, but she bought it. It was hers. That she discovered that the pipes themselves in the house were lead, and she was going to have to replace all of the pipes, and she had no money to do it. So she ended up just giving the house back. Oh, wow. I was brokenhearted when I heard that.
All houses here that were built before 1950 are lead-based laterals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I currently live in one, and I own one as well.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, comparing it to Flint, as far as our childhood lead levels, ours are actually worse than Flint's. And so because of the prevalence of the lead laterals and the lead paint, we actually have a lead, at least in children, a lead level crisis that's worse than Flint, Michigan.
Oh my God.
And also, we believe, and I believe, like, this is part of, because lead issues and lead problems, if folks hadn't been paying attention to this is why our children are running around like losing it. They've been given this water, which is also something that was intentional because there's money here to do things and to fix these things, but instead we want to fund the police over
And,
half of Milwaukee's budget, which is sick.
Yeah.
and what she said has been scientifically proven. We actually had an article come out last year that showed that some 50 to 60% or some high percentage of people involved in gun violence actually had elevated lead levels as a child. But Taylor, I did see you try to say something. I'm sorry, I cut you.
I'm sorry. I was going to piggyback off Kiva when she said we were giving the police majority of our budget, and I feel like we're giving that majority of our budget to abuse their authorities and to trample and bully us. So that's it. I was just piggybacking off of that.
And I'll say an amen. Amen. Yes. That I think that diagnostic piece about the connection between lead and violence and capacity to thrive in a community, to make a community whole, it makes so much sense. I'm wondering, Solana, as you do your work around getting voter engagement and all this, is lead seen as an issue? Is this one of the things that can motivate people to actually get out and vote and engage in the political process?
To a point. I mean, not necessarily. I haven't seen that so much in my current position, because it's more like, I might talk to people and ask them like why,
Yeah.
try to get them to understand how important voting is and seeing what they personally have an issue with, and that hasn't really come up as much. But in my previous work, it's come up a lot. A lot of times people, just really distrusted our city government and stuff when they hear how much lead laterals are still in the ground and how little has been done. Like plans have came up and nothing has really been put forward. People have tried to, are like, we need to have a lot more people voting in our community, and we have a majority people of color community, and a lot of our leaders here are white. And a lot of times a lot of big companies here hire a lot of people, including in the hospitals and everything. And most of their employees are from our surrounding counties. And so, I think that equates sometimes to policy. So if the people in power don't come from the communities, how can they really want to, push policies that will help the communities?
How do they even know what's needed? They come from their own lives. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, if we have all the decent, good jobs going to people that are outside of Milwaukee, how can people make time to be part of the political process and do the work and pay attention to what's going on in the city or government and policies and stuff in general? They might know about the lead laterals, they might care about it, but they don't have the capacity to take care or help out with, what's needed to push the elected officials to do what they need to do. So it's all intertwined.
Yeah. Wow. That is a challenge if you have people from outside doing the actual work of governance inside. It's a really different thing. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, and it comes with the police department and stuff too. A lot of money goes to people who don't live here because we don't have a residency requirement anymore. So a lot of money gets taken out, gets put into people's pockets, taken outside of Milwaukee and spent in their communities. And so even our tax dollars go to their paychecks, but doesn't end up back into the community. So we have multiple levels of just
challenge.
Just stuff going on.
Numerically, almost 50% of our budget goes to the police department. 90% of the police department's budget is salaries and benefits and things like that. And at last report, almost, if not more than 50% of police officers don't live in the city of Milwaukee. So that's 50% of our budget.
I'm curious. One of the things that we heard in Baltimore about the police officers not residing in the city was that another problem was that a lot of the police officers were former military. So when they came to work from outside the city, they also felt like they came with the military attitude of being adversarial. And I'm curious, is that a piece of your experience too in Milwaukee?
Data wise, I don't have numbers, but personal experience wise, that's been my experience is that the officers who I've interacted with that I know have a military background tend to behave militarily, and they tend to almost see patrolling as an occupation. Like, and I say that like not a job, but as in like I'm here to occupy this space so that the people who live here don't do whatever.
Right.
And yeah, and I do know a high percentage comes from the military background.
Yeah.
I don't really have the data on that either, but I can say if they're from outside of the community and they're not, just being honest, if they're not really raised or been around people of color, and then your only access or only time you're seeing people of color is through the media in a negative fashion, and then you come to be in the neighborhoods and occupy the space, then you're going to have a bias towards people of color,
Yeah.
So it with or without a military background, we really need to talk about how deep racism and bias goes, especially, you're having people come, Milwaukee is one of the most segregated places in United States. What does that mean? That also means that a lot of Black people don't interact with white people don't interact with Black people. But the issue is if white people don't interact with Black people, they're still in power of things that have to do with Black people. And a lot of times that's being a doctor, that's being an elected official, that's being a police officer, that's hiring people. And so what happens? They have their biases, and it impacts the Black community in a very negative fashion.
Solana, what you raise is so important, and that we've got to find ways to break it down, which brings me back to Derek, and I'm curious, in your digital work, Derek, do you have specific campaigns around this, or is your target audience principally the community itself, or are you reaching out to communicate with breaking down some of this racial stereotypes that are problematic?
I mean, a lot of it is it's all combined in the messaging, you know what I mean? But one of our main focuses is the communities, you know what I mean? People of color, preferably 53206 zip code here in Milwaukee. But we try to reach the masses, with the crossover messaging and everything, hoping that, people will catch on to it, you know what I mean? So basically, to answer your question, yes.
Whoa. Because I would think that you have some stepping stones that maybe could help with Solana's lifting up, that if you're not in the city, but you have connection, you're benefiting from the city, you need a little education about what's going on. But that's just that's my political thought. So that's a white woman thinking about, how do I reach my people? How do I change them? Help.
Yeah.
And how do I
to do that? White people need to go and do that.
I totally hear it, Solana, but I'm looking for every resource I can find to help me do that job. I know it's my job.
Yeah.
I hear
Go to block.org.
Okay.
A big part of our model is like we are very intentional about like hiring from the community, and so we do oftentimes like get a lot of folks who want us to come in and do go out into Wauwatosa or other places where there's not a Wauwatosa, like people know where Wauwatosa is, the suburbs of Milwaukee where there are not as many Black people. But we're very intentional about one, we hire directly from the community to make sure that the people that work with us are from the communities that we're representing and working for, and two, we really try to stay in our mission lane of working directly with the poor Black people to build that power. And so we leave the working with other communities to those people, because that's, those people are best. But we are totally here in the spirit of collaboration. We've given many of our ideas to other organizations so that they can implement them, and, we consult when we need to. But we're just, yeah.
Well, we appreciate the chance to visit with you, because this is important for us to learn. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we get visits all the time. One of those programs I was talking about is something called a silent canvas. And so this was created after elected officials kept asking, what are you hearing on doors? What are you hearing on doors? And so we turned into this program where we invite elected officials or candidates to come and shadow an organizer. Before COVID, they would shadow an organizer on doors and they wouldn't be allowed to speak. So that's the silent part of the silent canvas. And so for an elected official or a candidate, that's a huge thing because you just have to go and listen to what this other person is saying without being able to give your point of view or try to convince this person to vote for you. And we found it very impactful because, one, we got elected officials from all across the state to come into Milwaukee and really see Milwaukee and see the Black community for the first time, and really hear from people what their concerns are. And it was real because this is some of them first time here, and others it's like it's just completely changed my perspective on Milwaukee kind of thing. And we welcome other partners to do that as well. So we've taken it virtual and doing like virtual town halls like this. But previously we've had presidential candidates and other candidates come in, and other organizations and media come and do this silent canvas so that folks can come in and see kind of what we're doing and get a feel for us and, the communities that we serve. And it's been good.
How important. Okay, we have a whole discussion going about feedback and the back pieces. I'm not sure electronically what's happening, but I just heard it myself. So, all right, we're all going to hold our breath and hope we can get through this. Okay, we only have a few minutes left before we're going to have to end, and I guess what I'm curious about is we work on a federal level. We work in federal policy. So like Congresswoman Gwen Moore is the representative from Milwaukee and is, someone that we meet with often. But what I hear from you folks is how important it is to know the local story and build this block by block in terms of the relationships and understanding. So, but since we work at the federal level, I'm curious if we don't lose everybody before our internet has an attack. Can you give us some sense, some understanding of what you think is important for folks at the federal level to understand, and what we should take into consideration as we look at Milwaukee, look at other places across the country, but what's important to know from your city for us to remember? Is that clear? I sort of went around in a circle.
I think so. You're asking what should folks working at the national level know about Milwaukee and the political landscape here, more or less?
Yeah. Well, I should have just had you ask the question. That's exactly what I wanted.
So my first thought is like that people need a reason to vote. Like people are moved by ideas and by the idea of some progress or policy change that's going to actually on the ground improve their quality of life. And I think that's the biggest thing, like focusing on quality of life issues. When you're talking about electoral advocacy, especially on the ground, it has to be those quality of life issues, things that are going to make life easier for people on the ground. And so I think that as we do national and even local get out the vote work, I think keep it focused on the issues for me, and just make sure that we're speaking to the issues that are affecting people, and especially the Black community, because I think that we have very particular issues that other communities don't face. And so if you apply a blanket marketing strategy that addresses issues X, Y, and Z, but our issues are A, B, and C, then we're not going to be engaged in that. And so that's my first thought.
Good point. Thank you. Derek, what would you say would be the important thing to keep in mind?
As far as just to keep in mind that it's important. If you don't, I have this thing where I really truly believe, like if you vote, it counts. If you don't vote, it still counts. So it's very important to know you must vote. You have to vote. It's very important. It's like there's power in voting. We hold the power. You know what I mean? But it's like we're so powerful. Some people don't know how to use that power. So that's why we try to engage with the folk. You know what I mean? Because voting is probably one of the most powerful tools that we probably all got. You know what I mean? To be honest. You know what I mean? So just keep in mind, voting is very important.
You know, we did an Iowa visit like this, and what the woman in the office had a sign that said, "Bad politicians are elected by good people who don't vote." Bad politicians are elected by good people who don't vote. Exactly what you're saying, Derek. Yes.
It makes sense, you know?
We all have to get out there. We have to do it. I'm desperate. We have to do it. Solana, what would you say?
I think I'm gonna a little bit of both from Rick and Derek is it's about education. It is about empowering people and education and stuff like that. I think that sometimes we focus too much on trying to push people to vote until we never connect them to why it's important or how it goes back to their life or their issues, you know. And so we're just like, oh, voting is important, or voting for the presidential is important. Like, no, let's talk about how the policy is made in this kind of way, how it's connected to the money that comes into the city. Let's talk about how it's connected to, you know, something that has to do with you. Let's talk about how, like, what are the issues that you care about? A lot of people are one issue people too. And a lot of times they don't know how that much that issue is connected to a lot of other issues. You know, we can think about whatever, I'm not going to say none, an issue, but you can think about any issue that's been the top of the chart on why someone will vote for one person or another. But they don't know how this one is affected by all these other things. And one of the biggest things is poverty, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of problems that people have to do with poverty or low wages in general, or not having parental leave, different things like that. Like, if you cannot take care of yourself, your family, or whatever, you are not going to be involved. Period. You have other things that you want to do. And if you vote certain ways, some people vote because it depends on how they feel about how it's connected to their family, or they don't vote at all because they don't see how it feels. So I think we have to go back to actually doing vote education and not just being like, oh, you registered. Most of the campaigns and most of the money coming into Milwaukee, I see, is register people to vote or pushing them out to vote. But it's nothing that says, let's talk about the issues. There's nothing that's saying, nothing that's saying, let's really connect. Let's, doing what BLOC does of hiring people from the community, educating them on the issues, educating them on the processes and everything like that. We could do more of that. That's where money should be going, is making sure people are educated and empowered and are doing the work, instead of just like handing someone a little bit like, hey, you should just do this. You don't know my situation. You don't know anything. You just come in my community and tell me what to do. So why should I even listen to you? We have to do more on the ground and more education and more empowering.
Well, you know what? That really touches me, because this whole virtual bus trip we're doing is all about being a multi-issue voter, trying to help the people we connect with around the country do just that, make the connections. And last night we did one in Kansas City, and they were talking about, oh, this issue is connected to that, to that, to that. And once they see the connection, it changes how people think about it. It's so important.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I know we have work to do, don't we? Even between elections, yes. Kiva, what would you say to the federal level, or what do we pay attention to that's important in your experience?
So I am Team BLOC. I am one of the faces of BLOC. I am what the change looks like. I am a project baby. I'm a project girl. Who'd ever know that this project lady, self-employed lady, tried different jobs, low wage paying lady would be the community organizer here at BLOC. And what I come from is me being a normal person, me being a person who's a 2-time felon, and I am still thriving. And with that being said, that's with the education and the love and the unity that BLOC brings to every space that we come into. We are not judgmental. We do want to hire within and with folks and change folks' lives. We do want folks to understand that we do meet you where we are at. And so I am a face of what BLOC does is meeting folks is where they're at. And as far as the education piece, we can educate folks from the projects on to wherever it is that we're trying to get them to get to. And that's with no prejudice. That's with no bias. That's with just, not just turning folks down, but also that's something that I put in my bio. I was educated through BLOC on my process of getting to the level I am within the small, short amount of time that I've been with BLOC. I've actually, there's a ladder within BLOC. So, you can start here at the bottom, which I did, which was I was just a voter ambassador, and I went from a voting ambassador to a civic ambassador to a lead ambassador to now a community organizer, which I hold my own department. And with that being said, I am out here. I am reaching folks at levels to where I was. I am meeting with folks that came from the projects. I am meeting with folks who have had different walks of life, selling drugs, using drugs, different things, but it's about the change, and BLOC is the change, and that's what we're here for. But as long as I can continue to be a part of the change and the educational piece of the change, I play.
Yep. Oh, you got muted. You got muted. Your hands muted us again.
Yes, it's me and these hands. It's spirit.
I have the same problem. I totally relate.
It's the spirit fingers. So I really appreciate being with Nuns on the Bus today, and for just inviting BLOC to have us in this space. But we are in the good fight. I am in the right fight.
Amen.
And I am still in the streets fighting. So long as I'm on the right side of the block, and that's what BLOC, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities, that's what we gonna do.
Woohoo! And use the face mask when you're in the street. That's all I ask.
I got it, girl. I told you I didn't already distributed
I know.
on my own and counting.
All right, go for it.
Okay,
Tamer, you get you get the last word.
I kind of missed the question overall due to the bad connection. So could you please say
sure.
it for me?
Just the connection of your work to, we work at the federal level in Washington, D.C. Congresswoman Gwen Moore is your representative in your area, and I'm just asking, how's this connection? What do you see between the local, which is so important, and so often DC doesn't hear that? I'm sure she hears it, but the rest, how do we connect the two? Because we need your stories. That's the deal.
Well, being a person who wasn't into politics or wasn't political until I came with BLOC, what I did was I just tried something different. I was scared at first because a lot of people in the community now, their fear is failing. Their fear is getting out and doing something and feeling like they didn't do enough, and that's why they didn't succeed. So with me, I would just say to continue to do what we are doing, and that's building that courage for them and building that power and reaching out to them one-on-one. I don't really have anything else besides that, because that's all we can do. The rest is up to them and their movements. We can, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So it's like we can give them these resources and we can keep reaching out to them one-on-one, but really it's based off how they feel and what they do with the information that we provide for them. So I feel like we should just keep providing them with the information that we feel they need, and just hope and pray that they take it and go down the right path with it.
That is the perfect way to end this, because it's the work you're doing in the community that will make the difference. So I just want to say thank you to you, Rick, Derek, Solana, Kiva, and Tamer. Thank you for this opportunity to learn a little bit about the block that you work on and the folks that you serve in Milwaukee. It gives me hope, and I'm excited to keep an eye on all of the ways that you get your people engaged. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to
Oh,
be
yeah.
here.
We've got a slogan. The block is hot.
The block is hot.
Yeah.